Bold predictions, these are the rules. You submit the things that you feel comfortable betting your money on that you also think are the boldest beliefs that you have going into 2023. First up, let's stay in Tennessee, and let's take a look at what Millie said. Tennessee makes the playoff out of Columbus, Georgia, no less. The Fountain City of Columbus, Georgia. Yeah, I'm going to call this an 8.5 on the boldness scale, 1 to 10. For the record, anyone out there interested in the odds market, Tennessee opened at plus 3,000. No. They opened at plus 2,500 to win the title. They are plus 3,000 now. That's tied for 13th. So that's where Vegas roughly slots them. Now, that is not an exact order of power ratings, because just for instance here, if Tennessee were in the Big Ten West, they'd be a lot higher than 13th on the odds to win the title. As it stands now, they have baked into that number the fact that they got to play Georgia and Alabama in the regular season, not to mention just the rest of their schedule. They open in Nissan Stadium here in Nashville, Tennessee. So they lost Hendon Hooker. Yes. They lost Jalen Hyatt. They lost Cedric Tillman. Yes, we know all that. If I'm a Tennessee fan, I don't even let you finish that sentence before I put my index finger over your lips. And then I remove it. And then I remind you, Josh Heupel, head coach there, has had a top 10 offense each of the last 5 years. So he does okay. I'm pretty sure he's had pieces come and go during that time. He's done okay. I think they'll be okay this year again. Joe Milton, big question mark, one of the most pivotal players in all of college football. Joe Milton starts at quarterback for them this year. Post-it popping stat. Joe Milton had 82 pass attempts last year. Started 2 games, right? The bowl game and one other game. Out of those 82 passes, he had 7 completions of 50-plus yards. That put him tied for 8th in FBS in that stat category, and he didn't even come close to starting a whole season. He only had 82 pass attempts. So that's fun. Now, on the other side of the ball, Tennessee does have that small fact that they had the 127th ranked pass defense in the country last year. I guess it's a good thing they returned 73% of their production, but there's that. So mixed bag. I think Vegas agrees with me here. I'm going to make it an 8.5. Tennessee makes the playoff and wins the title. They got to win the title. They got to make the playoff, I guess, for the prediction to come true. Plus 3,000 to win the title. I don't know, Jesse. Maybe we should go into our budget and bet $10 or $15 on that. Let's move on. Let's go to Lincoln, Nebraska. Oh, this seems so much like a prediction we would have gotten last year. Cameron from Lincoln, Nebraska. He says Nebraska wins 8+ games this year and beats Iowa for the second year in a row. I'm going to focus on the first part here. It's a lot cleaner that way. Nebraska winning 8+ games. The over-under is 6, if you're wondering. I'm going to make this a 7.5 on the boldness scale. It's not the craziest thing in the world. Colin, I'll tell you what, leave that graphic up for just a second, and then do me a favor and throw their schedule up for me. So they were 4-8 last year. I think we all remember Scott Frost comes in with a very similar feel. Their over-under win total was 7.5, if memory serves correct, last year, and it just imploded really, really quick. So he's out like by week 4 last year. They're 85th in returning production. Okay, now here's why, if you want glass half full, you may want to entertain this idea. Yeah, it's tough. Yeah, 8 is a solid 2 games above the Vegas total, but you're looking at their schedule. If you're listening on podcast, I'm showing it on the screen right now. There are 2 things absent. One of them is Ohio State. They don't play them. The other is Penn State. They don't play them. They play Michigan, and they get Michigan at home. So that's a plus. And then they're going to be involved otherwise in a lot of games where the point spreads are very short, one bounce of ball. You know the drill there. Now, here's the thing. They got Jeff Sims in there from Georgia Tech, transfer quarterback. He's going to be one of the most experienced quarterbacks in the Big Ten. He's got 23 career starts. Here may be the downside, but I don't know that this is an apples-to-apples comparison. Matt Rule, when he takes over programs, it's not a guessing game. We have case study. We've seen it happen before. He took over Temple. First year, 2 wins. Then it got a lot better the second and third year. He took over Baylor. 1 win. Then it got a lot better the second and third year. So there is a track record of him taking over, just torching the barn to kill the rats, and then you rebuild a really nice barn. Is that the way it's going to be at Nebraska? I'm not so sure. I think the portal may have afforded them the opportunity. and inheriting a little bit more talented a roster than 4-8 would indicate, probably affords them the opportunity to be a little bit stronger this year. But 8 wins, I'm going to call that a 7.5 on the boldness scale. Can they get to 8 wins? I could see it because of the nature of the Big Ten West and the fact that they avoid 2 of the big 3 from the East. All right, let's move on. Got a little playoff prediction here. We get it every year. I don't remember a year where we haven't gotten this prediction yet. Austin from Waverly, Ohio. We will have a 2-loss team make the playoff. Okay, so since 2014, we've had 36 teams make the playoff. Stats and Info confirms 9 times 4 is 36. Every single one of them has either been undefeated or had 1 loss. Out of 36 teams, we have yet to have a 2-loss team. And yet every preseason, someone takes it upon themselves to predict that this is the year we have a 2-loss team in the playoff. And the thing about it is they convince me every single July or August that it's going to happen. But this is June. I'm not there yet. I'm calling this an 8.5. But if it did happen, how would this happen? Well, the first thing is, let's just look at the odds market, because there are 3 teams in the country that have preseason over-under win totals of 10.5 or higher. Georgia at 11. Ohio State 10.5. Michigan 10.5. Burn the list. That's it. You got Bama, Clemson, and USC at 10 for the record. So, yeah, it's a short list. It's what the list normally looks like. That's an over-under. It's not a true projection of how many games you're going to win, because I can guarantee you Georgia, their over-under is 11. They'll be favored in every game. I can promise you that, unless something truly devastating happens, like Kirby Smart goes on a random Mormon mission as he transfers to be the head coach at BYU middle of the season like that. Yeah, outside of that, I think Georgia will be favored in every game this year. But let's just say this were to happen. Let's say we get a 2-loss team in the playoff. How did it happen? Well, our best guess is the Pac-12 has to cannibalize themselves, so there's no Pac-12 team in the running. The Big 12 probably needs to cannibalize itself too. Boom. Nope. Ooh, we just dismissed Texas and Oklahoma. Shame on us. And then again, they've done a really good job of doing that to themselves the last 3 years. I don't want to throw shade, but that's just reality. So let's just say those 2 conferences devour themselves, and they're out of the way. Or a maximum of one of them do. They're out of the way. Notre Dame doesn't have a playoff caliber year, so they're not a threat. At that point, you need that round robin thing to happen where, maybe a Georgia is undefeated and like an LSU or Alabama has 1 close loss and their second loss is to Georgia close in the conference title game. Or ditto for, I don't know how it would happen in the Big Ten, but you can have that little round robin effect in the Big Ten. The point is, if you have a clean path, if you have a bunch of undefeateds and 1 losses, this is irrelevant. But if you have a lot of carnage, if you have some 2007-ish happening in the top 10, well, yes, then we could have a path there. This is not out of the realm of possibility. This is the old cannot versus have not thing. It has not happened. That does not mean it cannot happen. I'm going to put 8.5 on that. And last, but certainly not least, from Fort Gibson, Tyler says Bo Nix is going to win the Heisman at Oregon this year. This is an 8.75 because it's just hard to really predict who's going to win the Heisman. You're picking one name, but it could have been higher. So this shows a little respect for Bo Nix, believe it or not. We kind of run his fan club, at least the Tennessee chapter of his fan club. Where is he in the odds market? Some of you may be surprised to know Bo Nix is in the top 5 in preseason Heisman odds. Caleb Williams 1, Michael Penix Jr. 2, Jordan Travis at FSU is number 3, and it's Bo Nix and Drake May tied at 4. So yeah, he's up there. He led all quarterbacks in FBS in rushing touchdowns last year. He has greatly improved his deep ball accuracy. I mean, we saw it firsthand because we were at the UCLA game last year. Now, he lost his offensive coordinator. Kenny Dillingham went to Arizona State. Oregon's got the second highest win total out there in the Pac-12. Like, they're going to be in a position, and he's going to be in a position. And unlike some of the names I just read off, you have to respect his entire stat package. You can't just look A-B resume comparison. How many yards has he thrown for? He's probably not going to throw for as many yards as those guys. Those other guys probably are not going to run for as many as he is either. That exposes him a little bit more to injury risk, and if he misses games, this is a moot point. But I think Bo Nix is going to be in it. I think Oregon's going to be in it out there. So I'm going to make that an 8.75 with the understanding that even if you predicted Caleb Williams to win the Heisman, and he's already done it, and he's the favorite to do it again, I'd still make that like a 7. It's just hard to predict that stuff. So Bo Nix, quack, quack. They go to Texas Tech in week 2. Just, I think, one of the most underrated games of the year. Oregon at Texas Tech in week 2.